I mean, I grew up in it, you know. I was a kid. I mean, I would like to think as hardcore, you know, like what hardcore is today. I probably was here, you know, for most of it, what we know it as today. I mean, I grew up in it since I was 11. You know.
So what?
The first show that I went to was at the Troc when I was 11 years old. Dead Milkman, FOD, and Ruin. That you know, what we know as like hardcore today, back then it was all mixed into everything. You know, like I mean, around that time, you like Agnostic Front would play with Exploited, and, you know, Suicidal, and you know, Mentors, and I've seen the Cro-Mags with the Queers. You know, it's like I mean, you know. The whole like group, I guess, of you know like dudes from Philly, you know, it's you know every city has their scene, their course, but all the older dudes from Philly. I mean, there was the Philly Dust Crew, we used to call it, and then it kind of turned into they used to call us the Bad Luck Crew. Then when we started a band out of all the you know all those people we used to hang with, we just called it Bad Luck 13 Riot Extreme. We wanted a long, ridiculous name. We wanted the longest name out there.
And you guys definitely lived up to your name.
Now there's longer band names, I'm sure, so I just started something new. I need to always be in a band, so it's like when we're not doing something, I'm starting, you know, something else. I mean, right now I'm in a band called Eat the Turnbuckle. It's all wrestling themed. The original band I was in was called Snail Trail. Been in bands, Dead Meat, The Claw, Necktie, you know. Bad Luck would play a bunch of sub-name shows in places we weren't allowed to play. We call ourselves the Homicidals, the Homicidals, the Hebrew-sidals. We're coming up on Satanic Rave 14, Halloween. It's a Halloween party we have every year. Our first one that was in a warehouse, it got raided and it made the news, and then, you know, it got blown out of proportion on, you know, it was on CNN and stuff. They were saying we were a cult. I don't know, we just call it Satanic Rave. It's our Halloween party. We pick the most brutal bands to play it every year. Philly's a great, you know, it's a great music town. It's like, I mean, we've got endless venues all the time. West Philly's got a million fucking places, you know, jumping off of people's houses and stuff. I mean, the Troc, when I first started going there, the stage was 2 feet tall, you know. It was like, it was kind of like the CBs of Philly almost. It was not the same as it is now, you know. See, back then they had, you know, the Revival had a couple shows here and there every once in a while. Then came, you know, the Khyber, you know, was there for a long time. J.C. Dobbs was there for a long time. That was where they had the Sunday matinees, you know. I've seen a lot of good bands there. I mean, upstairs at Nick's, which is gone, that was, when that started, this dude, Rick D., who was a big promoter from Philly, he's dead now. He started a lot of these places. He ended at the Tritone, was his last place. The Church, you know, Robbie Red Cheeks and Dave Wagon Shoots, I think, started that place. And now Joe Hardcore's taking it over. And you know, I remember Joe and all those, you know, all those kids in his neighborhood growing up and shit. They were, you know, Bad Luck would play in Kensington. They were psyched, you know. They were like a bunch of kids wilding out, fucking getting nuts. You know, it was a lot of fun. You know, we had a good time. Philly is a great place to be, you know, for music. You got a million fucking venues out there now. Yeah, this is hardcore is one of my favorite times of the year. You know, people come in from all over the world for that. It's definitely fun. Joe does it right. I mean, he's a real dude, man. He fucking, ever since I know him, he's been doing this, and he ain't ever gonna stop.
Gotcha.
I'm sure he's had opportunities to get, you know, big and whatever. He's just gonna keep doing what he does. I'm sure anyone like who was around before and after the interview, you know, it took a lot of the fun out of. That's how everyone knows each other. I know all my friends growing up through hardcore. I mean, when I was a little fucking punk ass skateboard kid, I would you know, I met up with a couple of the dudes from Throne of Corruption. That's how I met Tim Bohr. He was the one booking all the hardcore shows, you know, back. He was the Joe Hardcore of the 80s and 90s. He would bring all like the bands around. Like Unisound in Reading was the main place that all the bands would play. That was the only place you were seeing all these hardcore bands like Judge and Gorilla Biscuits and stuff in Pennsylvania. You know, I'm sure people talk about City Gardens, you know, and that's close, but I would always go to Unisound. We also had a place called Pulsations in Delaware County that had a good little run for a minute there. I mean, you know, they would have hardcore metal shows. They would call it Metal Mondays, but that went away fast. But these are all, you know, when you're a kid, you're exposed to everything, and the only way you can find out about the next show is from being at the last show or from your friends. Because, you know, that's why these aren't advertised in papers or magazines, and there was no internet. And it's like the only way you can find out is by going to record stores or, you know, it was a lot, you know, it was a lot more tight knit. You know, now it's just, you know, it's different. It's still awesome, you know. This is Hardcore Fest is fucking huge. You know, it's like, that Hellfest was huge. You know, there was a whole thing going on there.
Any particular memory stick out of Hellfest for you?
Just the way we got on Hellfest is I used to play cards with one of the dudes who ran it, and he lost a bet, so Bad Luck headlined the side stage. But the lineup of that, the way that went down, I knew something. You knew it was on. It was fucking, you know, it was 25 to Life Marauder, Bad Luck on the Hot Topic stage. You know, at the end, you know, it was bound to get nuts. You know? Those kids, they were getting wild.
Gotcha.
Life Agony was on. It was split sets, so Life Agony was on the stage halfway through. You know, we went on halfway through their set. I would have liked to see that. Mikey Wild was definitely, he was Philly's version of like Wesley Willis, I guess, you know. He would, back in the day, he would be out there with his keyboard, no band, if he couldn't find one. He would open a lot of the punk shows, and, you know, he was retarded. So his songs are fucking funny as hell. I've seen him jerking off on stage, naked, fucking, you know. It's like, when you get to see a retarded guy jerking off on stage, it's pretty funny. That's money well spent. He had this thing with Vincent Price where he thought he was Vincent Price, and I told Isaac, you need, you know, do something with this. But he would look in the mirror and be like, I really am Vincent Price. He would be just staring in the mirror. He'd come in the shop, you know. You would always see him in his house. That's where he lived, basically. Selling his art. I think I have a whole.
First thing I
could open a Mikey Wild art gallery.
I mean, when I was younger, you know,
I feel like it was different. It was before everyone out there is a freaking MMA fighter and shit. It was like, I don't know. It was like it's you know, someone my age is different. When you were a kid, people would fuck with you for being like, you know, into punk and hardcore and shit. Like, you look different and like. It's really hard to explain. It's like, you know, you had to get into a lot of fights and shit, you know. And then, yeah, everyone had their crews, and we all fight with each other for some stupid reason, you know. I feel like Starkweather was probably the biggest one out of Philly that was underrated. I don't know how they're not, like, the band right now. How are they not, like, Lamb of God right now, you know, it's beyond me. They started... Remy's the first person I ever saw, like, right in the, you know, in the middle of like a, you know, almost like a death metal sounding song, just break down and start singing, and it, you know, and the way he did it, it's better than anyone is ever going to do it. You know, it's like, you know, a lot of those people today, they sound fucking stupid. You know, like All's Fail's another one, man.
Yep.
They're fucking, you know, as soon as they came around, it was like, what the fuck is that? You know, they used to have two singers that would beat each other up on stage, so, you know, I'm all over that. You know, it's like, I think Bad Luck probably played our first show with All's Fail. You know, it was in Westchester. I think it was All's Fail and Candiria, maybe. And there was a lot of good bands, and that whole scene at that time, like early '90s, you know, was like, Yeah, maybe mid 90s, I guess. That's when like I Hate You came around and All Failed. We were having a good time back then, man. Philly had a lot of fucking different shit going on back then. I don't know if it was underrated or what. It's like there was a whole scene in the mid 90s. The scene that I was most involved in was just fucked up, almost like wrestling style. We had a whole confederacy of scum shit. We had Rancid Vat, fucking Double Penetration, Lime Cell, Dead Gerber Babies. All's Failed kind of fit in there somehow. It's like there was like this whole weird thing of people, getting stabbed in the face and stuff when they were playing. What other Philly, all, Blacklisted, Punishment came around, and that had, it started all kinds of shit. But Starkweather, I mean, Dare Defy, Starkweather, Throne of Corruption, a couple bands like Hard Response, Stormwatch was, fronting the whole skinhead style out of Philly. Yeah, I mean it was a small scene. There wasn't very many people around like that were into that shit. I mean, the state is such a wide. I'm sure you've interviewed everybody. Your part.
Yeah.
Up at CC's was always a wild.
Everybody's talked about CC's. Yeah.
Other Pennsylvania. I mean, there used to be shit in Pittsburgh. A lot of times we'd go out there.
Any particular venue out there?
I mean, towards the end, Bad Luck would play that Club Lago a lot. But now there's a couple, just like everywhere, just bunch of little places coming in here and there.
Did you play Erie?
Played Erie. I don't remember. I remember Erie. I always end up at the same punk house where it's like some fucking crack den. I don't know how we always end up there. And we were on tour. Last time I was in Erie, I was on tour with Fang, and we ended up there. So that was a fucking special something going on. A lot of vomit going on in that place. Dennis is the epitome of Philadelphia hardcore, man. He brought up in it, lived it. He's one of the first dudes I've known. I've been friends with him and Tim and all those guys my whole life. It's all we do. It's all we did. We fucking go to shows every night, get drunk and fight. He still thinks he's doing it. I don't know, he's in his 40s at this point. He just keeps growing too, It's like, he was big back then, but if you look at pictures, he's like a normal sized dude now, but he's big now, One of the big players back in the day was Met. He started all that and Too Damn Hype record label. He had a lot of good people on his label. I mean, he had Starkweather, One Life Crew. He would bring the other side to it, where bands people didn't want. Bad Luck, And we, John Dudak was a huge part of this scene. I remember when he would be Unisound with his little box of records, and there wasn't distro yet. That was it. It was like this dude. The only way you were getting the shit he had, because he went to all the shows and he'd buy all the stuff from the bands, and it's just, at the time, if you wanted shit from a band that was through town like 2 weeks ago and you weren't there, the only way you were getting it is from John Dudak. And he blew that stuff up into very distribution, And it's a shame. He was a big wrestling fan, too.
A lot of people.
The real hardcore dudes are wrestling fans.
That's right.
So, I mean, yeah, him and Matt and Chuck from Temperance had a lot of big, people say what they want to say, but those dudes, they're a big part of it. Honestly. Tim Borey still does, one of my best friends, still doing the shit. He's huge, You do what you like, and eventually you'll make money doing it. The first people I met when I was a kid I would go to shows and stuff, it's like how you meet people. The first people that ever even fucking talked to me, basically, are Jamie Davis and Timmy Glom and Tim Bohr and John. And, it's like we're like a family growing up. It's just how it I hope it's still that way for people that are kids right now, Should be. That was it. We were fucking homeboys. That's all we did was hang out. We all lived together. Fucking